The 2013 specials of the British science fiction television programme Doctor Who are 2 additional episodes following the programme's 7th series. In addition to the traditional Christmas episode, which has been a feature of the revived series since 2005, there was also a special celebrating the 50th anniversary of the programme. Both episodes starred Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor and Jenna Coleman as Clara Oswald. The 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor, saw the guest returns of former series leads David Tennant and Billie Piper. The 2013 Christmas special, The Time of the Doctor, saw the departure of Smith from the series and the introduction of Peter Capaldi as the 12th Doctor. List of episodes. The Day of the Doctor features the return of the Zygons for the first time since Terror of the Zygons in 1975. The Time of the Doctor draws together a number of plot threads that have run through the series since the 11th Doctor's first episode in 2010. Supplemental Episodes, Casting. In The Day of the Doctor, Smith and Coleman star alongside David Tennant and Billie Piper. Tennant reprised his role as the 10th Doctor, while Piper, although credited as playing Rose Tyler, in fact portrays a manifestation of the moment, a Gallifreyan superweapon, that is taken on Rose's form. The casting of Tennant and Piper was announced by the BBC on March 30, 2013. Photographs of Smith, Tennant and Coleman at the first read-through were published, which also confirmed the casting of Gavin and Stacey star Joanna Page. On April 8, 2013, the BBC announced that Gemma Redgrave would reprise her role as Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart's daughter Kate Stewart from The Power of Three. Rumours had also circulated that Christopher Eccleston would have some involvement. Eccleston had some discussions with Stephen Moffat, but eventually declined to return as the 9th Doctor. Sylvester McCoy, who played the 7th Doctor, claimed that none of the surviving actors who portrayed the Doctor prior to Eccleston had been contacted regarding the special. Despite stating that it would be a travesty if his character did not feature in the special, John Barrowman did not feature as Captain Jack Harkness. The release of The Night of the Doctor on 14 November revealed that Paul McGann had returned to portray the 8th Doctor. On June 1, 2013, Matt Smith announced that he would be leaving Doctor Who, with his final episode being the 2013 Christmas special, with that episode set to feature the Doctor's latest regeneration. Speculation about the identity of the actor set to take over began immediately, with a number of names suggested. The official announcement of the actor of the 12th Doctor was made in a special live simulcast on August 4, 2013 in Doctor Who Live, The Next Doctor, and saw confirmation of Peter Capaldi in the role. The 2013 special is the 4th and final Christmas episode to feature Matt Smith's incarnation of the Doctor, and the second to feature Jenna Coleman as Clara Oswald. Production, writing and development. Showrunner Stephen Moffat began writing the script for The Day of the Doctor in late 2012, announcing that, as a security precaution, he had not produced any copies, instead keeping it on his computer until it was needed. Moffat has stated that the Christmas episode is intended to tie together the remaining story strands from the 11th Doctor era, some of which were introduced as far back as the 11th hour. The special ties up stuff from all corners of Matt's tenure. There are things I set in motion in Matt's very first episode that I'm paying off now. It's been a long game, but most of the questions that people ask will be answered. In September 2013, it was revealed that the Cybermen would feature in the Christmas episode, when one of the show's regular stunt artists, Daryl Dars Parker, tweeted that she would playing a Cyberman. This would make it the 3rd time that the Cybermen have appeared in a regeneration story, following the 10th Planet in 1966, and a brief appearance in the War Games in 1969. Filming. Filming of The Day of the Doctor began at the beginning of April, with David Tennant, Billie Piper, John Hurt and Joanna Page seen at a location outside Neath in South Wales. On April 9 filming took place involving Matt Smith and Jenna Louise Coleman in Trafalgar Square in London. Various other locations included Chepstow and Cardiff. Scenes shot in Cardiff are intended to represent both Totters Lane and Coal Hill School. Shooting wrapped on May 5, 2013. The final 2 days of production were taken with shooting the special mini-episode, The Night of the Doctor, which featured Paul McGann returning to the role of the Eighth Doctor for the first time since 1996. At the 2013 Comic-Con, Matt Smith confirmed that production of the Christmas episode would begin in September, once his work on How to Catch a Monster was complete. Filming for The Time of the Doctor began on September 8. On September 10, Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman were seen filming on location at Lidstep Flats in Cardiff, which have previously been used in Series 1 and 2 as the Powell estate where Rose Tyler lived with her mother Jackie. On September 19, 2013, scenes were filmed in the evening at Puzzlewood with fake snow being scattered over certain areas. On October 5, 2013, Doctor Who producer Marcus Wilson revealed via Twitter that filming was complete. 50th Anniversary, Television, An Adventure in Space and Time. In addition to the 50th anniversary episode featuring Matt Smith and David Tennant, a further special was produced to celebrate Doctor Who's half-century. An Adventure in Space and Time, written by Mark Gatiss, was a feature-length docudrama detailing the conception and initial production of Doctor Who. It featured David Bradley as William Hartnell and Reece Shearsmith as Patrick Troughton. Matt Smith has a cameo as himself in his 11th Doctor costume. The Five-ish Doctors Reboot. As a compliment to the Day of the Doctor, Peter Davison wrote and directed a 30-minute spoof entitled The Five-ish Doctors Reboot featuring himself, Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy attempting to gain parts in the 50th anniversary episode. Produced in mid-2013, the film first became apparent when images of the three staging a protest outside BBC Television Centre came out. In addition to Davison, Baker and McCoy, the film featured cameos from a host of people connected with Doctor Who, including Paul McGann, David Tennant, Matt Smith, Stephen Moffat and Russell T Davies and special guest John Barrowman with David Tennant's wife Georgia Moffat and their son and daughter T.Y. Tennant and Olive Tennant also guest starring. Other television productions, The Day of the Doctor formed the centerpiece of the celebrations, which encompassed programs across all of the BBC's platforms, including An Adventure in Space and Time, a culture show special entitled Me, You and Doctor Who presented by Matthew Sweet that explores the wider cultural significance of the show. See BBC broadcasters show called 12 Again in which past and present stars of the show recounted their memories. Professor Brian Cox delivered a televised lecture on the science of Doctor Who, and BBC Three had a weekend devoted to monsters and villains, as well as showing Doctor Who, The Ultimate Guide. The BBC also announced plans to show a newly restored print of the first serial An Unearthly Child. The announcement of the title was also followed by the release of the first official poster for the special. UK TV's Watch showed a story from each Doctor to celebrate the 50th anniversary, based around the broadcast of the 11-part BBC America series, The Doctors Revisited. This series has one episode dedicated to each incarnation of the Doctor, and was broadcast monthly alongside an omnibus edition of a serial of each Doctor. Watch is broadcasting 2 episodes per weekend, starting on October 12. The British Film Institute ran a year-long celebration of the 50th anniversary with monthly screenings of stories from each Doctor, culminating in November with screenings of both The Day of the Doctor, and An Adventure in Space and Time. Radio. BBC Radio 2 broadcast a number of new programmes commemorating the show, including a 90-minute documentary called, Who is the Doctor? The Blagger's Guide to Doctor Who hosted by David Quantick and Graham Norton's Live Saturday show was broadcast from the Doctor Who celebration event at the Excel. BBC Radio 1 looked at the phenomenon of Time Lord rock, a musical style derived from the music of the show, while BBC Radio 4 Extra broadcast a 3-hour special called, Who Made Who, which discussed the world that inspired the show. In October, Big Finish Productions released a 50th anniversary special audio drama featuring the 4th through 8th Doctors entitled The Light at the End. Release, DVD and Blu-ray releases. Soundtrack. Selected pieces of score from The Day of the Doctor, and The Time of the Doctor, as composed by Murray Gold, were released on November 24, 2014 by Silver Screen Records. References